Everyone and their mom is talking about this Adam22 situation, man. So just in case you've been living under a rock for the past month, Adam22 is a podcaster slash YouTuber slash corn star who's most famous for his podcast No Jumper, which currently has about 4.6 million subscribers on YouTube, and he also has his personal channel which has over 1 million subscribers. He recently got married to his partner Lena
Breathe air!
Lena The Plug. They'd been dating for 7 years prior, and they currently have a child together. Most people know Adam22 from his podcast where he gets into hip-hop and pop culture topics with different guests. And some time after he started dating his now wife, they started an OnlyFans podcast called the Plug Talk Podcast, where they'd invite adult stars and they just interview them and then later got to the action, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, boy.
And so they've been doing this for a couple of years until they recently got married in July. However, it is important to note at this point that they had been involving other people in their life, particularly just women. They would do some crazy stuff on stream, which is why you can only find it on OnlyFans. Some of the clips would make it to their YouTube. So, nothing new. We've heard this before, people opening up their relationships. But the one thing that people seem to have an issue with now is the fact that his wife now wants to involve men in their relationship since they'd been just sleeping with women. And what particularly makes this interesting is because Adam in the past would address this topic of involving men in their relationship, and he basically didn't want men to be involved in the relationship. It's just something that he wasn't up for. And this was him just over a year ago, and it seems now he's taken a complete 360 and has just completely changed his mind about that. Now his partner Lena The Plug, or Lena whatever her surname is, was born into an Armenian American family, and she seemed to pretty much take the IG model route, where she's just posting stuff on her social media. And then as time went on, she got into the adult content and she came on the podcast, and I assume that's how they met. I'm not really sure. I haven't really followed up on that story. And now that they've gotten married, she now wants to involve other men in their relationship, purely, from what it seems, for financial gain. After just about a week after they got married, a trailer dropped, which was showing her and another popular male porn star. Basically, it was just a teaser trailer to show that they were going to make a film soon.
Hey guys, guess who I'm shooting with today? It's finally happening. Wow, I did not know you were going to do that.
After this trailer dropped, this man was flamed on the internet. People were saying all kinds of things. Sneako Part 2, all different memes came out at the time, and different social media people like Kaisenad, Aiden Ross weighed in on the situation, giving their thoughts, and may have hinted that they want to be the next.
Bro, you just had a BC nick your bitch, bro.
I told you. No, that was just work, Kai.
So you're not affected by this shit?
Hell no, this is the best thing that ever happened to me. I wish I thought of this a long time ago, bro.
That ass?
Yeah, man, we going crazy right now. I had no idea that people were gonna be so we only had to turn the dials a little bit, get a little bit freakier than we were used to getting. And now everybody's fucking enchanted by our relationship. I feel like Blueface and Krishan all of a sudden, but we don't have to fight. We just, let the bodyguard homie beat the shit out of her for a little bit,
Hey, yo, my man, I got next.
What? You said you want next?
Nah, I said I have a good time with the best.
And so you'd think that with this kind of reception that he would probably retract his statements or probably change his mind after seeing what people think. But he actually doubled down and actually leaned into the narrative that was being painted about him. So if you look on his Twitter and you just check his tweets, he's really leaning into that So then when the video dropped, they went on their podcast, the two of them, and they discussed the situation, and they talked about, how was the experience? Basically like a post-game interview, like LeBron dropping 40 points in the NBA Finals or something. Not only that, they proceeded to call the guy in question and basically just interviewed him too and just asked him like,
Jason, give me a genuine review. How was it?
You want like a number scale or just like
Numbers sounds like it could be hurtful, but if it's a high number,
Gives me
sure.
like a 4.
100% 9 out of 10?
Really, 9 out of 10. Who's like, if I should feel diminished as a man as a result of this, like the narrative is very, very strong. I just want to get your thoughts on that, and if how people should think about that in the context of me being, you know, the silent third party in all this.
Well, I don't know. Like, if you look at it in a business aspect, then basically it was just a job, you know? She's high up in her ranks. I'm high up in my ranks. Us two together obviously would make the most amounts of money. So it's not so much being a cook. If you're comfortable with it, y'all communicated it prior. Obviously, she said y'all did. So it's not really a situation. It's more of like two people coming and making an understanding.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're cool with it, then, you know, it is what it is. Me personally, I don't know if I have enough in me to allow it, but everyone's different. Everyone have different levels of, how do I say, mental maturity.
I'm struggling to keep a straight face. And so it seems that recently the guy in question, his name is Jason Luv, he was interviewed by some other person and he basically added a bit more to the mix and he gave further comments on what actually happened during this.
Second of all, whose idea was it to end an...
Okay, so I guess her hadn't been stretched out in a while. So then I was doing all the stretching. It's like my starting to get numb, and I was like, yo, we have to keep going. It was going so long that it was nothing I could do. It was like the numbness I didn't notice, and I'm like, yo, it's about, you know. And then hey, it happened. It happened.
So the was not planned.
Nope.
But then she got freaky with it. She started eating it, you know, doing the nasty.
She got into the moment. You know how it is once you get into the moment. It's like, you know, it's all no holds bar. Let's go.
From like Adam's perspective, how do you think he felt seeing her eat the get by you?
I guess it was probably like, okay, you know, brush your teeth, and we can't kiss until tomorrow because it's in my brain right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it seems like Adam has an issue with that, and he actually posted a response to that interview.
I guess we're doing this today. Hey, Jason Luv, I trusted you to pork my wife. And it seems like that clout is getting to your head because you're talking real spicy and I ain't really feeling it. Number one, the angle of the dangle is more important than the cubic of the pubic. That's number one. Number two, my D game, when I'm serving it, man, it's just like your mom's home cooking because there's a special ingredient. It's called love. You ever heard of it?
What?
Number three, don't make me expose you. And you know what I'm talking about. It could get real messy out here. Number four, you don't want problems moving around in these LA streets because I can make that happen. I'm very well connected. And number five, you are officially blacklisted from smashing my wife again. Show some respect.
Now, I don't know if it's just me being suspicious, but I just feel like it was staged and he's like leaning into it. So that was just a recap of the situation for those who didn't know. The actual topic that I wanted to get into in this video, the issue of what I think is really happening behind the scenes. So let's paint the scene here. So there's this guy who's a podcaster, he's a YouTuber, and he's a star, essentially. This guy is an atheist, so he doesn't really subscribe to any religion, and so there's no like moral compass, if you get what I'm trying to say. And then there's his partner who is also in the adult content scene, and I would imagine she's the same. She has the same beliefs, which is why she would get together with him and have a long-term relationship with him in the first place. So here we have two people who are each in their own sphere of the internet. They're kind of connected in the same industry, at least so far as I'm aware. This girl comes on the podcast and she gets some exposure there, and I don't really know what the situation was like, if like her career had a significant boost from that. But yeah, she came on the podcast, they had her on, and they ended up dating and involving other people in their OnlyFans, in their joint OnlyFans, at least it seems. So I think, at least my suspicion is, this relationship, if you will, is purely just business. It's just business oriented. It's like a YouTube collab with extra steps, if you get what I'm saying. They're doing their OnlyFans content, it's popping, people are watching, people are paying or subscribing. And so they're trying to think of ways to make more money out of it, right? And since they're both kind of like free spirits and they just ended up dating, they would craft a plan where it's like, hey, why don't we kind of like lean into like a certain narrative that's going to have people talking, and it's just going to generate the most amount of like attention towards the whole. And so they just get married because the public perception of marriage is typically you're going to be monogamous, you're not going to involve other people in the relationship, right? And since they'd done it in the past and they hadn't slept with other men, so it would seem like it's this bombshell moment, right? Especially considering that he had been hinting to it that like, no, I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to involve another man. I don't really want that. And so, they get married. We're still under the just business perspective of this. So they get married, the optics, so now they're married. They're likely going to just stay monogamous and not involve other people. And then just after the video comes out where his wife is like, I'm going to do this scene with this other guy, and then they just paint a whole narrative based on that, and they even called it the wedding gift.
What?
And it has people talking. People are talking about it, generating attention towards it, and it just leans into the whole narrative and the whole situation where it's like people are just talking about it, putting their 2 cents. Everyone is reacting to the whole situation, small YouTubers to big YouTubers to big people, and they're all talking about it. It's generating attention, and this is just before the actual clip comes out. The clip isn't even out at this point, and yet they've generated all this attention surrounding it. So essentially what I think the rationale behind that is, they're going to do like the obvious thing. Like, obviously no one would do that, right? No one would let their husband sleep with another woman, or their wife sleep with another man, right? And they do exactly that. And essentially what they do is they're rage baiting the entire internet, right? Where people are just like talking about it, whether it's positive or negative, whether it's supporting them in their decision, or it's just like, no, why would you want to do this, wada, right? And what's that going to do? That's going to just funnel traffic onto their OnlyFans and onto the clip itself. And so by the time the clip comes out, it's going to blow up and people are just going to pay to see it, right? Even though, Twitter could just be leaked there, which it actually was. If you look for it on Twitter, you might find it. In fact, you most definitely find it. It seems kind of counterintuitive, but I think they're kind of like playing the long game, where this marriage is not strictly a marriage. It's like a business partnership where they're involving other people in their lives, generating these narratives towards their relationship just because they're married, and people are just going to talk about it. Oh, you can't do that, or marriage monogamous, what normal people would think, right? The normal sensible thing to think in that situation. And so they generate attention, people are watching, people are subscribing to their OnlyFans, and it makes them money. The only justification that Adam gives to this whole situation is like, hey, I'm making bank, so, GG's, right? People are saying that, yeah, he's kind of affected, it's kind of getting to him, which it might, but I really do think that they're just in this for the money. Well, does it affect him? Maybe along their relationship, he kind of like developed feelings for her and maybe starting to slightly take the relationship more seriously. And it was originally just intended to be a business partnership. But then since it's a business partnership, they're going to keep doing this, and people are just going to keep talking about it. People are going to keep viewing like the YouTube videos on it, and some of that traffic is going to be channeled towards their channel and it makes the money. I think that's how they were thinking before they got all into this. If you think about it, the setup where it's like, oh no, we'd never do that. It's only on my end. We only sleep with these OnlyFans models. But involving another man, oh no, we're not going to do that. And then they does that. He's just going to get memed, right? Because of that. It was like, oh, look at him, just a year ago he said he wouldn't let another man sleep with his wife, but then now he's completely... And that's the point. I think they want to sort of use people in that sense. They're trying to manipulate the fact that you are going to talk about the moral implications of this, and it's just going to keep funneling towards their content. At least that's what I think their rationale was. Where I think it's a bit dicey is the fact that they have a daughter. I think she was born like some 2-3 years ago. Well, the child now, that's an extra level of commitment. I don't know if that was to give the ruse of like they were actually really committed to this relationship, or they genuinely did reach a point where they wanted to have a child. But yeah, with the child, it's no longer just like moral implications like, oh, they're going to get bullied, they're going to grow up, and then they're going to see their parents having content online, what. The moral implications of on the children's part, right? It's also like the legal, aspect. Like, for example, if they decided that they want to terminate their partnership, they want to get a divorce, the whole situation with the child or children, if they decide to have children in the future, is going to be dicey. And I think that's where the whole plan, or their whole plan, is kind of like we will have to see what they have planned. And I have to say, I mean, if that's their plan, then I don't know if Adam is just like doing a really good job of doing that, or is just leaning into it a bit too much. The problem is, this is probably never going to escape him. Even if all the things I was describing were true, right? And it's purely just business, and they're sort of bamboozling the internet by baiting them to talk about them and generate, traffic towards their content for their monetary gain. If at some point either one of them, particularly Adam, decide that they now want out, right? They want to get out of this situation, it's going to follow them for the rest of their life, right? It's particularly more impactful on Adam because his wife can just go on and shoot more videos with more guys and continue whatever she was doing before she met him, right? But that negative image is going to follow. Like, for example, look at Sneeko. He admitted that, we went for a party, we were trying to experiment with different things, slept with another guy. He admitted that these things did happen, but people are still calling him a to this day. It's been 1.5 to 2 years since that happened, and it's just going to follow the both of them that, they're cocks. I mean, there's nothing really they're going to do about that. And if Adam is willing to accept that as a consequence of what they're doing now, then I guess it's GG's. I mean, if he's willing to deal with that, then I guess it's fine. So I just wanted to give what I think was the rationale behind the decision. I didn't want to just take the typical, oh, look at him, oh, it's not supposed to do that, monogamous relationship, you're going to suffer the kids, what. Those are all valid points, but I feel like most of you guys are reasonable people and think these things, so just regurgitating it didn't seem like it was worth it. So I just wanted to give what I think was like the motivation behind it. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. Put your thoughts in the comments. I'm an island boy. Shut up, bruv.